Okay, I'm gonna continue on. We're still in the C section of the CD collection. First up, we have a death metal band off of Hell's Headbangers. This is Coffin Lust with Manifestation of Inner Darkness. This is a pretty good straightforward death metal release. I got this in one of the many CD sales that Hell's Headbangers puts together. It was probably in one of those like 10 CDs for so much, or I know a couple times they've had like $3 CDs and dollar CDs. I know I got it in one of those sales. I don't remember which one. I haven't listened to it in a little bit, but it is a good slab of straightforward death metal. I do enjoy that release. Next up, this one I'm kind of iffy on. It came out there. I know that it's still kind of a thing, but there for a while it seemed like every day there were 10 new atmospheric black metal bands, black gaze bands coming out, and this kind of fit into that mold. This is Cold Body Radiation with Dear Twilight. I mean, for what it is, it's a pretty decent listen. This is one that I'll probably, when I listen to, just throw it in as kind of background, kind of ambience. It's not something that it's going to grab my attention and keep me coming back for more. I mean, it's a decent listen for what it is, but it's not my favorite thing in the collection. Next up, we have an EP. This is from, it's just in a paper sleeve. This was thrown in with an order that I placed some time ago. This is from the band Cold Colors. It's just the inside liner and then a CDR. I don't know if you can make that out. Just a CDR with that Cold Colors logo on it. This is the 2014 EP, which is just named 2014 in Roman numerals. It's pretty good. I think it's about 3 tracks. It's kind of gothy metal. It has some death metal moments and passages. It's kind of like atmospheric gothy metal with some death metal elements going on. That's the only way I know to put it. It's pretty good. I mean, I didn't seek out any more of their material after getting that, but for what that is, I mean, it is a decent listen. Next up, this is a band that I featured. I think I did a 7 Deadly Spins. Let me try that again. I think I featured this in an early 7 Deadly Spins video. It may have gotten an album spotlight on its own. I can't remember at this point. This is a blackened death metal band out of California. Very sludgy blackened death metal band. This is Cold Claw with Anti-Martyr, Decades to Suffer. This is a phenomenal release. They have some other material out, but this is leaps and bounds ahead of that other material. In my humble opinion, this is my favorite release that they've put out. It is the only one that I own on a physical format. Stellar stuff there. If you're into black and death metal, if you're into kind of sludgy type stuff as well, I know California. I think they're from San Jose, possibly. This sounds to me like it has that. There's so many bands that I think out of Oakland that kind of have that sludgy vibe going. They expand on that, and they don't just rest on that. They have that black and death metal super strong vibe going in that. Phenomenal release there. Next up, we have some melodic death metal I believe they're out of Sweden. This is The Cold Existence with Sombra Gates. That album cover, that artwork, just screams mellow death to me, and it sounds just like it looks. If you look at that album cover, you're getting exactly what you're expecting when you pop this sucker in. It is a good, phenomenal release. I do enjoy this quite a bit. There's so many good Swedish mellow death bands. I mean, they just run and fit right in stride with all the other mellow death that's coming out of that area. You're not going to get any surprises or that type stuff on this release, but it is a good spin. Next up, I absolutely love this release. I love this album. I've had this in my possession for almost as long as I can remember. It came out in 2001, is what it says on the back. The name of this band is Cold Moon, and the name of this release is Carnivorous Lunar Activities. This is kind of a that they the band described, they're no longer together. I think this is the only full length that they ever put out. The band described themselves as nightmare metal, but it's kind of this thrashy heavy metal hybrid that has some like primitive death metal ideas going on within it. I love this release. I have not spun it in far too long. Just looking at it now makes me want to just stop recording and go throw this in the CD player. I got this many years ago, back when you could still order things on eBay and like write checks and send money orders. Yes, I am that old. Back before we had PayPal and buying stuff online, and this was by far the best release that I got out of that little CD lot that I picked up, and it has remained in my possession since. And I think you can find copies of this fairly cheap still, but I absolutely love this release. One of the definitely probably my favorite release that I'm going to show in this part of the collection video. Next up, we have some black metal. This came from Bind Rune Recordings. This is Cold Northern Vengeance with Domination and Servitude. Kind of occult, Paganesque, black metal. I believe this project, I believe it's a one-man project out of New Hampshire. Pretty good. Very brazen, I guess you could say. Has some leanings that some people may at some point deem a bit questionable. I'm not saying that it is within that NS vibe, or I'm not throwing that out there. I'm just saying that it has some leanings that some people could draw their own conclusions to, but it is not my place to do that. Next up, one of the back when Relapse Records was killing it with their grab bags before we got these new style grab bags where you just get kind of atmospheric, sludgy stuff that's just all cookie cutter sounding the same. There used to be some really stellar releases in their grab bags, and this is one that I got in an early grab bag that I did through Relapse Records. This is Cold Worker with Riding Paradise. Phenomenal death metal release here. Definitely a standout of one of those earlier CD mystery boxes and grab bags that they used to do. Used to be able to get stuff like this, Dying Fetus, and I mean the early grab bags where it was at. It's kind of sad to see how far down they've gone into the almost like this hipster style of music within that label. Next up, we have some hardcore. This also came from a Relapse Records grab bag. This is Coliseum with No Salvation. This is okay, pretty good. I'm not the biggest hardcore person, which is, I mean, I guess that's not a fair thing to say. I do enjoy hardcore for what it is, but this one, I mean, it's okay. It's not something that I just find myself returning to. I do enjoy it enough to keep it in the collection, obviously, but I mean, for what it is, it's all right. Next up, we have the Collateral Damage Box Set. This is a 3-disc box set that was released through Season of Mist 2013. Wow, I didn't realize it had been out that long. It's mainly black metal in this. It has, they call them War Volume 1, War Volume 2, and War Volume 3. They released this, I can remember going into like a Hastings CD store. I don't know how many of you, especially, I know you folks here in the U.S. probably remember Hastings. I know some of you overseas probably don't know what that is, but it was just a chain that did, they had CDs and books and movies and that type of deal. I can remember going in there and like seeing the individual CDs for sale on their own, and then you could like order the box set. I think they went through a point where Season of Mist was throwing these box sets in almost every grab bag that they were putting out. The first one, the first disc, War Volume 1, is probably my favorite of the three, but it has the most atrocious and goofy artwork that I've ever seen. There is War Volume 1. I'll let you drink that in right there. That is absolutely horrible. It is hilarious. This is And Oceans versus Bloodthorn, War Volume 1. It says Finland versus Norway. The two best bands within this, arguably the two best bands that are within this whole box set on this first album. What it is pretty much little EPs or compilations of the band's material. I think each has 4 tracks on this release, and then on the 4th track, each one does a cover of the other band. So you have a And Oceans cover of Bloodthorn, and then you have a Bloodthorn cover of And Oceans. That's kind of the theme that goes through this little box set. That one is my favorite of the three. I do enjoy And Oceans and Bloodthorn both. The second one is probably the weakest of the three albums within this box set. This is Anata versus Bethsaida. The Anata portion on this is probably my favorite on this one. It is definitely the one that gets the least amount of playback, though, for me. I won't lie and say that I've just listened to this one a ton. On the And Oceans and Bloodthorn, I guess if they're pitting against each other and I had to choose, I would go with the And Oceans portion of that. But that's a difficult choice because I do enjoy both of those bands. And then the last one is Cultus Sanguine versus Seth. And obviously I am going to enjoy the Seth portion of this release a bit more. And won't spend just too much more time on this. This one, I mean, the artworks on these, the second disc probably had the better album art out of all three. The weakest material, but at least it had an actual cover art as opposed to everything else. I mean, that one's just not much to it, but I do enjoy that box set. It's something that I do enjoy having in my collection. I've had so many of those come through my possession one way or the other that I've rehomed and found places for that it's a bit ridiculous. Moving on, this is a metalcore band off of Face Down Records. At one point early on in this channel, I did that Face Down Records grab bag. A lot of that stuff has been rehomed. There are bits and pieces of that still within the collection, as we'll see going through this. This is a band that I did like for what it is. It's not something that I pull off just too much, but they're pretty decent metalcore outfit. This is a Colossus with Time and Eternal. Just Christian metalcore, Christian hardcore, but it is performed pretty well. I don't want to say but. I'm not knocking them for being Christian Christian themed in their music at all. Excuse me. And then we have Colossus with Badlands. I liked the Time and Eternal release a little bit more than the Badlands. This one leaned a little bit more to almost like that they're both mainstream sounding, but I guess this one sounded way more accessible. I don't know. I like the other release a bit more than this one. So, going from core to gore, we have one of the first releases that I got from Gorehouse Productions. This is Colposcopy with Ready for Gore. I think I got this in the very first Gorehouse grab bag that I ever did. Little mystery box that they put together every now and again. Pretty good stuff here. Brutal death metal just nasty, raunchy, brutal death metal. I mean, you can look at the artwork and uh, pretty soon, I guess. At first glance, you kind of get that idea of what you're getting yourself into with that release. Next up, this is one that came in that care package that Marty Worm sent me. This is Color Fast with the Art of One. This is kind of melodic death metal mixed with thrash. It's pretty good. Looking at the cover art, it doesn't just scream as something that I would like to listen to. But after giving it a chance and actually listening to it, I dug this quite a bit. So they say don't judge an album by the cover, but I think we're all guilty of that at some point. I mean, if you see something like I mean, how many people are just going to see that on a shelf or see that in a bin somewhere and just snatch it up? You know, not knowing anything about the band. I don't think a lot of us that are into this extreme music and heavy music would just be gravitating towards something like that. So I think that artwork did that quite a bit of disservice when it was released. This came out in 2001. Next up, we have some death metal from the Philippines. This is Comatose with the Ultimate Revenge. This is straightforward death metal, but this is performed astoundingly good. I am a huge advocate for this release. You can find this album for next to nothing on either Discogs, eBay, or even some distros. You can use the metal detector and hunt this album down. Go check it out. If you're into death metal, I'm a huge advocate for this, especially if you're into that kind of straightforward death metal, not over the top brutal, not over the top technical. This is just a killer standard straightforward death metal release. This was released on Satanith Records, but it is a top-notch release. They have some other material out. I believe they have a full length that came out after this. I need to get my hands on that as well because I'm a huge advocate for that particular release. Next up, we have some Funeral Doom, changing gears completely. This is a Funeral Doom project out of Russia. As you guys will probably find out if you haven't noticed already, there is just a plethora of Russian bands that I've fallen in love with over the years. This was released on Solitude Productions. This is the I guess this came out in 2006 EP from Comatose Vigil entitled Narcosis. This is funny because this came out, it makes sense that it's been out that long now because this is back when a run of 900 albums was a limited edition on CD format. If you press 900 copies of something like this now, you're going to have about 800 copies just sitting around at least waiting for somebody to snap that you'll probably have to just give away. This one is hand numbered 822 out of 900. It's crazy how the times have changed. It's just in that period of time. But killer stuff here out of Russia. It has the Narcosis. It's just an EP. It has the Narcosis track. Narcosis is just one track, but it has an English version, and then they do it over in Russian, and then it has, I think it's a crematory cover as the bonus track. I don't remember the actual song that they cover. It doesn't say on here, but it is. I don't see it on the thing. I can't remember the name. I know it's from the band Crematory, but I don't remember what song it is. On the back, it just says bonus track. It doesn't even list what the song is. And then I have the newest full length from Comatose Vigil entitled Fumus Non Summus. Just a killer slab of Funeral Doom. It is 3 tracks and it clocks in at over an hour. This one came with a autograph. It has the band there, and then on the back it has a limited edition. Your copy is 867 out of 1,000. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up. And then it has all the band members signed it there. There's the inside and the back. Love me some Funeral Doom. Love me some Russian music. And So that goes hand in hand with the things that I like. Next up, we have some death grind out of Cuba. This is Combat Noise with Frontline Offensive Force. This one is pretty good. Not something that I just gravitate towards when I'm like scanning the shelves and looking for something to listen to. This is not going to be my first choice usually to pull off. I mean, it's decent. It's just run of the mill death grind. I mean, there's just nothing to. I mean, if I'm wanting death grind and this is there, I'm going to listen to it, and I mean, it will suffice that want of wanting to hear something like that. But it's not. I mean, there's other death grind albums in my collection that I would probably pull out before I just go out of my way to grab that. But I mean, it's not bad. It's just not. I don't know the word that I'm looking for. It just doesn't stand out to me the way that I would like for it to. Next up, I think it was in the previous video I was talking about the Willow Tip grab bags, and this is probably one of my favorite releases that I received through those Willow Tip grab bags. This is a Commit Suicide with Human Larvae, Earthly Cleansing, grindy, deathy, hardcore-ish goodness. I mean, it's got that grindcore vibe going. It has that death metal vibe. When I guess you could call this death grind. When I'm in the mood for something like that, this is an album. This is something that would stand out to me, and phenomenal release. I absolutely love this. The case is a bit worn out. I've had it for a bit now because I was doing those grab bags early on within this channel, but it has gotten a ton of playtime and a killer release. And then I also have their newest. I say newest. They've both been out for many years now. This one I sought out and purchased on my own. It did not come in a grab bag. This is Commit Suicide with Synthetics. I do like the Human Larvae release a bit more, but I do enjoy both of these. I could pull either one of these off the shelf and give it a spin and be completely happy with the choice that I made. So good stuff there. I think that's the only two full lengths that this project has put out, but killer stuff there. Next up, we have some technical thrash, death metal. Has a few kind of metalcore-ish leanings here and there. This is Common Yet Forbidden with We Suffer Violence. This is their EP, their debut EP. This one's a bit hard to track down. It took me forever to find a copy of this, and then I paid more than I would have really liked to pay for this, and then the booklet came water damaged. So, I mean, that's a bit unfortunate, but as for now, it will suffice just to have that in the collection because it's hard to track down otherwise. Their full length, on the other hand, is very easy to find. You can find this fairly cheap. This is Common Yet Forbidden with Struggle. Pretty good stuff. I mean, mellow death mixed with pretty much melodic death metal fused with technical thrash. So if that sounds like something you might be into, go check it out. Christian themed, but good stuff there. Next up, we have some grindcore. This is Complete Failure with the Art Gospel of Aggravated Assault. Very dark wording on that. It was kind of hard for me to read. It's sad when I have stuff in the collection and I can't even remember the album title name of it. This came in a Season of Mist grab bag. I think I've listened to this maybe once, maybe twice. I mean, it's just very forgettable grindcore. I did not dislike it. It's not something that like I was speaking on the album earlier when I go scanning the shelves, looking to listen to something that has not been one that has just screamed at me, hey, come listen to me, because obviously I have not. Next up, this is some late 90s hardcore, dare I say early deathcore. This is Compression with their self-titled. This was released on Chord Recordings in 1997. I dig this one quite a bit. This one also came in that early CD bundle that I picked up that Cold Moon album with. This one has not got the same amount of playtime that Cold Moon album has, but this one has remained in the collection as well. Pretty good. I mean, like I said, it's kind of very early deathcore-ish vibes going on there. Next up, we have some doom metal out of Chile, I'm wanting to say. This is Condenados with the Tree of Death. This was released on Shadow Kingdom Records. I got this in the Hell's Headbangers Black Friday sale. I think I got this for like $1. Well worth $1. When I first listened to this, I wasn't. Sometimes I have to be in a mood to listen to certain things, and it kind of fell flat on me because I just didn't feel like I was in the mood to be listening to this. Upon revisiting it, I enjoyed it much more than I did upon that initial first listen. But pretty good doom metal there out of Chile. And then the last one for this one is an album that a band that I used to really be into at one point for whatever reason. And then the more that I listened to the band, the more it was just kind of, I don't know. And now this is the only album or release of them that I still have in the collection. This is Deathcore. This is Conducting from the Grave with When Legends Become Dust. And, I mean, I still have this one in the collection. I don't listen to it a ton. I can't remember, honestly, the last time that I listened to it. I think I'm holding on to it now for more nostalgia type purposes. But very accessible deathcore. I guess most deathcore is pretty accessible. Simplistic, but, I mean, I have good memories with it. We'll just put it that way. So I'm kind of hanging on to it. That's all for this video. I will try to keep the content coming and kind of stock up and get some stuff recorded. This is a long weekend. Hopefully I'll have the next one up within the next few days. Stay classy.